pop radio hits, and that will be one of them. And then at 7:30, it turns to an acoustic show where I have a live band and I'm singing a collection of pop music, country music, songs I've composed on the keyboard. I'll be accompanying myself on a few of them. So it's really a celebration of my music world for the last year. So I'm super excited to have people there and just enjoy a really cool evening at a really cool space.
That sounds great. So that's going to be next Monday night, January 30th, right here in the heart of Times Square for our listeners. I'll certainly be there, and I hope that our listeners will as well. So I want to talk with you a little bit here about, Webster Hall.
Yeah.
So we had a chance to catch up with you briefly there a couple weeks ago at that performance, and I got to say that was such a cool venue. And I wonder if you can share with us a little bit of information about the music label that you're involved with, and and Joe, and what it is that you guys have been doing there.
Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you. Joe Volpus is my producer, and we've been working together now for about 2 years. And Joe is the original producer who launched Lady Gaga's career. And when he took a liking to me, I was kind of blown away because when I met him, I didn't know he had that background. And if I'd known he had that background, I might have been too scared to meet him. But he and I have, just really clicked from the beginning and have become good friends. And Webster Hall was a chance for him to showcase a handful of his radio artists. So it was a showcase for AP Music, which is his company. And it was just such a fun evening to be a part of because I got to see some of his other artists, and we all got to perform 2 of our radio hits that we had done with Joe. So it was really just a night to celebrate AP Music and Joe's work. And really for most of the songs that you heard, Joe obviously produced them all, but some of them he also wrote for his artists. So it was just a great night to be a part of.
I got to tell you, I had such a fun time there. And the best part about it, well, not the best part about it, but one of the greatest things about it was that they were giving away free pizza.
Yes. Free pizza is always good, right?
Free pizza brings out the people in addition to the music. And I got to say, the pepperoni.
Yeah.
Joe had good pepperoni at this Webster Hall event.
I love that.
Well, we started the show today with your big radio hit there, Slow Burn. And, I am so appreciative that you're joining us for this interview today because you are actually the first musician that we ever interviewed for Pop Song Tech. And
I love that.
You got us started here, so this is such an honor to have you back on the show. And, we got together here through the miracle of the internet and discovering music and our podcast together. We weren't people that knew each other until this forum kind of existed here. But I got to say, I'm so excited. Your music has been so fun, whether it's Slow Burn or Confidential or, embarrassing all of us men with your song called Boy Toy. My God, you've been busy here. But, your career started on Broadway. You were really a famous Broadway actress and, also a mentor to other actors and actresses with the book that you wrote called The Organized Actor. And I know that you still do mentorship opportunities for actors and aspiring actresses. And how can people find out more about that aspect of your work?
Yeah, well, I've been so blessed, to be here in New York for the last 20 years, just a little over 20 years, living in the Broadway community and being a part of that. And I've just been so blessed. And the book is called The Organized Actor. And that can be found at organizedactor.com. And it's really a day planner for the actor to figure out, to organize the business side of their career. I came from more of a business entrepreneurial background. And it was a way for me to help actors who sometimes aren't as organized, or really artists. Our brains are a little more scattered, but I also always had the other side. Mm-hmm. So I created that for people to really harness the business side of their careers. And as far as my Broadway work, you can check me out at lesliebecker.com and see some of the things I've done. And I've been super blessed. I'm not in a Broadway show right now, but getting ready to do a reading next week of a new Broadway musical. Hopefully future Broadway musical, I should say. So that's exciting.
That is exciting. And you've also got your own show that you wrote with a collaborator that is premiering here. It's just about to open in Seattle. So if we've got listeners that are in Seattle, and I've seen in the data that we've got a few, what can people do to check out that show? And what is the background of that show? I hear it's like 20 years in the making.
It is 20 years in the making. So it is a musical called The Proper Place. And I wrote it with my collaborator and composer, Curtis Rhodes, who is actually based on the West Coast. And the show, the best way to describe it is imagine if Downton Abbey met Gilligan's Island. So that kind of gives people a sense for what the play might be. Although it's not based on those characters. It's actually based on a J.M. Barrie play called The Admirable Crichton, which is the gentleman who wrote Peter Pan. So this was something he wrote long before Peter Pan. But it's going to be at the Village Theater in Issaquah, Washington, which is just outside of Seattle. For any Seattle listeners, they probably know that theater. It's the number 2 professional theater out there. And that opens on March 16th. So I'm headed out there at the beginning of February to go start our production there. And that is the world premiere production of our shows. So we are just so excited to see that project finally coming to fruition after a long period. And we didn't spend 20 years writing it. We had worked on it 20 years ago for a few years and then put it to rest and came back to it about 3 years ago. So otherwise, boy, that would be a long development process.
Well, and it'd probably be a long play, a long show. I mean,
exactly.
it turned into like an 8-hour performance.
Exactly. Yeah. The show, no, it's a quick, 2 hour, 15 minutes or 2 hour, 20 minutes. So yeah.
And it's raining out there in Seattle, so you can't spend much time outside. It's cold. It's rainy. You better be inside here. And what better place to be inside than checking out this new show from you? And so you and I had a great chance to catch up over lunch last week.
Yes.
Right in Times Square. And we were talking about your music. We were talking about this upcoming play. And then we were talking about kind of another possible interest on the other side of that you're exploring. I wonder if, in addition to the music that we're talking about that you're featuring here, if you can talk about kind of your ideas for an upcoming podcast.
Yeah, well, you have inspired me, Otis. So the whole podcast realm, there's always been a part of me. I've done, obviously, a lot of radio interviews with this, and also when I've done my coaching with artists, I've been guest on different radio shows, and I really find radio and podcasting and just the audio word, I think, is a really cool platform for communicating. And so I am in the beginning stages of plotting out my own podcast.
Dun 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 dun.
Yeah, da, 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 da. I know it's when you realize when you take on something like a podcast, and I really admire you for this, is when you say you're going to do it, you want to make sure when you say you're going to do it that you're really going to do it and that you commit to that. And so I'm in the planning stages and want to make sure that my schedule and my life is set up in a way that I can, when I do it, that I do it and I do it fully. So I like to do things at full force, not just halfway. So I'm investigating that, and it will be based in the creative realm. I won't tell you the title yet, but I do have my title. But it is, it's going to be a lot about various creatives and what it takes to continue being successful at being a creative in the world, and what creatives really provide in the world. Because I think that we, as artists and people who are creating something from nothing, we're the people who really create the world. And so I think those are some pretty magical people out there. So
that is a fantastic, inspirational platform to take on this. And, it doesn't surprise me, given your mentorship role of so many other actors and aspiring actresses out there. But you've got a new song coming out right now that we're gonna be featuring here, a little podcast debut of this. I'm
nice.
Very excited for this. It's called More Than All You've Got. So I wonder if you can talk with us about how this song came together.
Yeah, I'm so excited about this song because my first 2 songs, Slow Burn and Confidential, were ones that I penned entirely on my own. And for this third one, which will be the third song in my EP, which will be a 5-song EP coming out probably middle of this year. But this third song, I reached out to Joe, my producer, and said, is there anything that you've written that you think is a perfect fit for me? Because he's also a prolific and multi-time cut songwriter. He, the minute I said it, he said, I actually do have a song I think is going to be a really good fit for you. So he sent it over to me, and first time listening, I fell in love with it. And I said, I want to do this.
Yeah.
And so we worked out the details of that. And I cut it just a couple of months ago. And it's going to come out, and it'll be on iTunes in a couple of weeks. And it's a cool song. It has like this really kind of pop. I don't know if it has a Pop Adele sound, but it's just very How would you describe it? You've heard it, Otis. It
I
just
gotta
has a
say,
really cool
it's
vibe. There's
so
clapping and a little sitar, and it's just cool.
it's got this upbeat tempo to it, and you've got such a great sound. It sometimes crosses into country, sometimes into country pop, sometimes into pop, and I'd say this is somewhere between country pop and pop. Is where this song I would put it based on what I've heard of it so far.
Yeah, and it has it just has almost a little bit of a retro feel. I feel like it's just got a cool vibe to it. I have a really cool gentleman who has a blog called The Vinyl Vortex, and he did an interview on me saying that the sound is very much like somebody that would be on vinyl. So it has like a kind of a cool retro feel to it, which I like.
Awesome. So
yeah,
I am so appreciative and thankful for you spending a little bit of time here with us on Pop Song Tech today, Leslie.
You too,
yeah, thank you so much for joining us. And for our listeners, I certainly invite everybody to get out to the living room at the W in Times Square next Monday evening, January 30th. It's just right around the corner and right in the heart of Times Square. Times Square, of course, being the heart of New York City being the heart of DC. Well, not DC. DC's on the brain today because I've been watching inauguration-related stuff. But right in the heart of United States of America here. So Leslie Becker is going to be right there next Monday evening. Hope you guys are too. Leslie, thanks again so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Otis. I really appreciate it. And thanks to all of you who listen to Otis. Keep supporting him. He's got a great podcast here.
I appreciate that. And so, ladies and gentlemen, up next here, we've got the podcast debut of Leslie Becker's newest single called More Than All You've Got.
Ready to be the man for me. Introduction's over, now it's time to see. Will you love me, need me, always, with more than all you got? Will you still kiss me goodnight 7 years from now? Will you always crave me even when life presents doubts? Will you need me, breathe me, see me when the lights go out? I don't want to make the list that just may take us there and back to where it began. Want a man that's strength enough to make me raise my hands to praise the Lord and thank Him again. Yeah, that's the man I'll always give more than I got. That's the man I'll make love to till we drop. If you need Him, breathe Him, please Him with more than all you've got. Just may take us there and back to where it began. What a man with strength enough to make me raise my hands to praise the Lord and thank Him again. You say you're ready to be the man for me. Introduction's over, now it's time to see. Will you love me, lead me, always, with more than all you've got? Will you kiss me, dip me, twirl me, spin me, never stop? Imperfectly perfect me even when I'm not. Will you love me, lead me, breathe me with more than all you've got? I don't want to make the list that just may take us there and back to where it began. Want a man with strength enough to make me raise my hands to praise the Lord and thank Him again. With more than all you got. 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 With more than all you got.
Well, that is the newest single from our featured artist today, Leslie Becker. That is called More Than All You've Got. And I want to really